So the world's moving pretty fast. Would you agree? The world, and one of the things that I'm just so keenly aware of, there's going to be a lot of disruption, tremendous amount of disruption. Think of the video that we played up there where they're sitting in the bus stop and the reality that's coming at them is so real they can't tell the difference, right? And I think of all the disruption that's going to happen and how fast the world that's happening. I think one of the things that we can share, a value add that we can have for you, is help you think about the future and be excited about it and not be afraid of it. So if there was a takeaway that you were to say, by coming to Freedom One and being connected with this group and understanding the thinking that the Tranel Financial Group has to offer, it would be how to be excited about the future, not be afraid of it, and how to say the world's biggest challenges, this world's biggest disruption, are really the world's biggest opportunities for us to grow our business. I think about, the government's being disrupted right now, just naturally needs to be disrupted. Education is being disrupted. Think about the virtual reality goggles that I talked about, the augmented reality goggles last week that I spoke about, that when you put these goggles on, even though your brain knows that you're in a conference room, it's so real, your brain can't distinguish between where you are and what it's seeing on the augmented reality goggles. And how that's going to disrupt education. Somebody in a very poor country with a $300 or $500 augmented reality goggles is going to have the exact same education as someone in one of the wealthiest towns in America. They'll look around, they'll look here, and there'll be a student there, and they won't even be able to tell that it's not a real person or that it's not there. It's totally going to disrupt education. Transportation, as we talked about, what Uber is trying to do and will do with autonomous driving. Totally. So there's so many things that are going to be totally disrupted out there. And it can be really, really scary, or it can be really, really exciting. And I want you to think about how it's going to be really, really exciting. And then I want you to look at it through another lens that says, how do I, in my business, with my special skill set, take advantage of these opportunities, this disruption that's happening out there? Does that make sense? I want you to be really excited about the future. But there are certain things that I believe are not going to change. And these are things I want you to write down. There's just certain things that will not change in the next 25 years that I see happening out there. So one of the things that's not going to change is personalization. I think people are always going to want a sense of themselves and to feel that their world is personalized for them. So I think if you're looking at your business and thinking about, yes, things are going to be disrupted, but people are always going to want a sense of customization, personalization to them and their core beliefs. I think that people are going to want a sense of certainty. That would be another. I don't think that's going to change for a long, long time. On the other hand, people like a sense of uncertainty. They like excitement. They like change. They like a little bit of roller coaster in their lives. I don't think that will change. So uncertainty, but people have a tremendous need for certainty. A tremendous need for certainty. The world is moving really, really fast. It's really complex. And I know that when people come here to our company to talk about their money for an hour and a half, all they want to do is just say, I want to slow the world down. All the complexities of my family life, my kids, my worries about college, business, money, everything. I just want you to slow it down for an hour and help me attach some meaning to it. And I think people want that in your business as well. They just say, can you make something that's really complex, really simple? And I think people will pay for that. Okay? So certainty. I think that there's a tremendous need for significance. I think people will always have a tremendous need for significance. So in our businesses, what I would suggest that you do is create, as a part of your model, a way to help people feel significant. Help people feel significant. We can do that with technology by remembering their likes, their dislikes, remembering what kind of beverage they like when they come in your office, remembering everything about them when they come in. You can do that through technology. But the world is getting really big and really fast, and people don't feel significant anymore. Would you agree? And I think they want to have a community of people where they have a sense where I am significant. I mean something. Or at least I mean something to this company for this period of time. Would you agree with that? I just don't see that changing in the next 25 years. A lot's going to change, but I don't see that changing. I think the next one I'd write down is just a need for connection and love. A need for connection and love. It's just human nature. We want to be connected to other human beings. And you've heard me say I love Facebook and I love social media and I love these outlets, but it's not enough. It's just really not enough. There are times you just need somebody to put your hand on their shoulder and say everything's going to be okay, or this is going to work out, or I have the solution, or this is covered. There's going to be this need for connection. There's this tremendous need for love. You know, it's interesting in my business, and I've shared with you in the past that I've struggled with this a little bit just probably because I'm a guy and just my nature, I don't know how to react to this, but I coach a lot of people across the country, and some I don't see very often. It's all done over electronic media, the phone, and so on. And over like the last year and a half or 2 years, as some of these relationships have been very deepened, I've had men tell me, and I just grew up in a household where men never said this, where they would just really say, I love you. And, you know, at first I didn't know how to respond to that. You know, it's just weird, different for me, you know. And as I've gotten more comfortable with that, telling these other men, and I don't know why it's easier for me to tell a female than a man that I love them back, but it's gotten a lot easier for me. And at first it happened just a couple times, and I thought, well, this is strange. And then it's happened more and more. And I just think there's a tremendous need for people, male, female, to have somebody important in your life that you love, that love you and that you love them. And I don't think that's going to change in the next 25 years. Right? I certainly didn't start out my business 28 years, 3 months, 16 days ago, saying that I'm going to have people say that they love me for the work that we're doing and the relationship and connection that we have. But I think that's a very real thing that's out there. I think you've gotten someplace or a real connection when people say that. So I don't think that's going to change. The need for human connection and interaction and the need for love is not going to change. So think about that in your business. How do people feel your connection? How do people feel love as a part of being part of your community? Your business community that you have, or your neighborhood community, or your friendship community. I think that's real important. And then I think the next one is just grow. I don't think that it's going to change human beings' desire to grow. I think there's an innate sense within human beings that if I'm not developing, changing, growing into something better, there's a sense that I'm dying. Would you agree with that? I mean, I'm not sure it's expressed quite like that, and that might be a little bold, but I think there's an innate in our DNA as human beings that says, I want to become something greater tomorrow than I am today. And I think if we can help them with our businesses be that, something better, and be loved and be significant, I just don't see that changing, regardless of how much technology that's out there, regardless of the disruption in transportation, education, and it's naturally going to happen. Regardless of who's in charge, all these disruptions are happening. And I just don't see that changing. And then finally, just a feeling of being able to contribute beyond yourself. Contribute to something beyond or bigger than yourself. I just don't see that changing. It could be your faith, it could be a charity that you're involved in. But I think over the next 25 years, people have a need to be a part of, to contribute to something bigger than yourself. We see that a lot with millennials. As I've talked about before, I was challenged with millennials. I was waiting for them to get in line with us older guys' way of thinking. And then I had the realization they're never going to come around to our way of thinking. So I had to get really good at understanding them, and they really want to be a part of fixing things. They want to be a part of fixing the environment. They want to be a part of fixing causes that are really big causes. And I don't think that is going to change. They do it differently than maybe our generation would do it, but they want to do it, and it's really important. I just don't see that changing. And candidly, through some of your suggestions, we talked about Gratitude Thursday. That's just bleeding gratitude into our lives and our businesses. And the charity share that we do at Freedom One wasn't something that we intentionally set out to do. It was just like, hey, can I talk about this event I have coming up? And then it was well received, and somebody else said it, and somebody else said it. And really, the whole charity share has become really significant. There are people that have told me that at their charity event, 90% of people that were there were Freedom One folks. Isn't that really powerful? Or if they really need some money, some people will just reach into their pockets and pull out some money, and they get to their goal. And I think that's just the whole part of being a part of something that's bigger than yourself. So yes, a lot of things are going to change. And I want you to look through the world through that lens and say, that change, that disruption, that uncertainty, that scariness is a business opportunity for my business. And then I'm going to capitalize on that, solving a problem for people that are afraid or scared or have a void, some void in their life. I'm going to solve that problem. And then what I want you to say, there are certain things that just probably won't change in the next 25 years. I think I might even be bold to say the next 50 to 100 years, but things change, and I don't know. But I think in our business lifetime of the people in the room here, for the next 25 to 35, 40 years, I think those human emotions, human needs are going to just be there. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's just really helpful. So a lot of times I talk about what is changing, but I wanted to talk about what's not changing. So let me just go through those really quick. Personalization, certainty, and a need for uncertainty. A need for significance, a need for connection and love, a need to grow, or a sense that if I'm not growing, I'm going backwards, or I could be dying metaphorically, and then to contribute to something beyond yourself. And then fear. I think fear will always be there as well. I think people have a sense of fear that I'm not enough, I'm not loved. We always say here at the Tranel Financial Group, people are not afraid of dying, but they're afraid of dying and not having their lives mean anything or mean something. I think that's a real fear, and I think that'll continue on for a long period of time.